Hi, and welcome back to another video of the Target Individual Experience, the Target Individual Program. Today is Tuesday, October 6th. So, Pam called me today. I want to get into it, but again, after we got off the phone, there was the sound of police sirens. Not ambulances, not fire trucks, but police sirens. And I began to recognize, that, it is always police sirens after I get off the phone with her, right? And so what that tells me is that, which I already know, is that the police are engaging in psychological warfare and psychological condition, negative psychological condition, right? And one of the processes in which they do condition you, including me, is what's called classical conditioning. I've talked about this Pavlov experiment with the dogs. And so they have been slowly conditioning me that every time I speak to Pam, or every time I go to Pam, I talked about whenever we get into an argument and I leave, there's always a heavy police presence. And when I go back the next day, there's always a heavy police presence, right? And so now they have shifted. So now it's like every time I get off the phone with her, there is police sirens. With the remote no monitoring, if I think about calling her, there is police sirens, okay? Only at those times. Like today, I woke up early. There was no sirens all day. Very, very quiet. But immediately after I get off the phone with her, police sirens. Okay? And so the police are engaging in these types of destructive psychological operation and psychological warfare. Okay? There's a book, it's called Operation Mind Control. You guys can get that for free. You can Google it, get the PDF. There's another book also called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. Okay, it's another book you guys should get and read. Okay, there's also The Hidden Evil by Mark Rich. I think a lot of TIs, we know who Mark Rich is. Provide us with a wealth of information about the psychological condition, and particularly those using Doc NLP, or what is called Doc Psychology. Okay, and particularly the book Mind Control Language Pattern by Don Taline Jones is a very, very important book. You can also read it online for free, and it scribes. And so these are very important books with information that we need to understand, right? So we have to understand the psychological conditioning that has been done to us, that is continuing to be done to us, and particularly when they are using the people around you to engage in this sort of behavior. Okay, and so I don't know, for whatever reason, they feel like maybe I'll do something to Pam, but let me say this, and they know this, okay? But again, it's because they are in the authoritative position, so they're the one that set their false narrative. One, I have never hit a woman. I've had women put their hands on me, but I have never hit a woman, okay? Two, right, I was raised by a woman, so I don't hit women. I don't abuse women, okay? And because they know this, they set a false narrative, right, to try to destroy my character and to keep doing things like this, okay? So whatever they've gotten her to do, I might be angry, but I don't hate women. If you're a perp on the street and you're a man and you want to attack me for whatever reason you feel, then yeah, I'm going to beat the shit out of you, okay? All right? Only even you put your hands on me, though. Okay? So, again, understanding these things. This semester I'm taking psychology, which they didn't want me to take. My first psychology class that I signed up for, they literally dropped me from the class. Okay? I didn't drop the class. They dropped me from the class. And the class wasn't even full. Right? So obviously, they had something in mind. Okay? And being that the other classes that I did find that kind of fit the schedule that I wanted, whereas there is no interaction with the teacher. Okay? And this is done for a purpose, because see, this is a psychology class. And they know that, yeah, I know quite a lot about how they're conditioning people in the manner in which I describe. Okay? And say they don't want me to inform certain people or make them aware of these type of psychological programs that they have engaged in, these illegal psychological programs, as well as other things. Okay, but I'm just talking about the psychological aspect right now. So they know this, and so they will limit your interaction with people in certain fields. Okay, when I start to see a therapist, sooner or later, get the therapist involved in my targeting, even though I specifically explained things to the psychiatrist at the beginning in terms of how I'm being conditioned. When not, they will still do it. Okay? So, it is what it is. Like I said, we are modern day human experiments, and non-consensual human experiments, mind you. And so we have to do our part. And just as others have done their part in the past, whether it be through researching, and this is non-TI, so people who've been maybe journalists, psychiatrists, who trying to get an idea of what is taking place, right? Who've heard the stories from victims and believed and said, hey, you know what? I need to start looking into these things, all right? This is me doing my part so that when those people, those individuals see my videos, okay, that they might listen to what I'm saying. It might click in their mind and say, hey, you know what? This guy might be correct. Okay? And we'll hopefully do the research, to expose what's being done. Okay? Along with my help. So, like I said, it's a classical conditioning that they've been doing to me, particularly with Pam. Like I said, when I get off the phone with her, I immediately will start hearing sirens after. And again, this is police sirens, very short bursts of the sirens, and then that's it. Okay, then sometimes I wouldn't even hear any more sirens for a good 2-3 hours until I speak with her again. Then immediately afterwards, start hearing sirens. Okay, so this is what they've been doing. And, and again, trying to use family members and friends, not friends, but family members to create a false sense of confidence, right, within me, to try to make me believe certain things that are not true. Okay, because if it was true, my targeting would have stopped, but it hasn't. So understanding how they will also try to create a false self of confidence so they can get away with the crime against you, so they can say, well, look, we have not done him any psychological harm, and if we have, well, you know what, we've extinct those conditioning, right? So there is one thing you learn about psychology is that there are many different psychological conditioning methods, right? And so when we talk about classical, which is involuntary, okay, we talk about operant, which is voluntary, okay, and within these conditioning, what's the word? These conditioning philosophy or structures, you have substructures. You have stuff like in operating conditioning, you have reinforcement, you have punishment, right? I talk about extinction, okay, which is when you're conditioned, how they try to reverse the conditioning, right? So it's like a gradual disappearance of the conditioned response, okay? This is how they try to build a false sense of confidence within the targeted individual, right? And it doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't work because we know that, you know, you might condition a person, and then you might try to extinguish, using extinction to get rid of that, that conditioned response. But it doesn't work because the human mind is different. The human mind remembers things. Okay, so maybe you might succeed for a week or 2 weeks, but eventually something's going to trigger that conditioning again. Okay, but they're constantly trying to, and they will lie, to advance their experimentations. They will say how, it's helpful, and we help stop this and stop that and stop that. But we all know that. Look at Rikers Island, perfect example. Okay, where you had a private firm that they bought and paid millions of dollars to help curb the violence in Rikers Island. And what did the firm do? Lied. They lied and said how their program is successful. Right? They lied. So you can't even believe these people. But I'm giving you the facts and the truth based off of my own experience. That what they have done is created an lasting psychological damage within my mind. And not also psychological, but physical, neurological, emotional. Okay? This is what they have done. Okay? And their belief is that the end justified the means. But you know what? That's what all mass killers say. That's what all psychopaths says. That's what all sociopaths says. Right? And this is who are running these types of programs. But because they're in a position of authority, they can get away with it. As a black person, if you're living in some small town, you can't even get away with walking across the street, in the middle of, walking without going to the, to the walk path, to the street sign. Right? You get pulled, the cops will stop you, give you tickets for jaywalking. You can't even hang out in your own block. They give you a ticket for loitering. Okay? But yet, you black people and other people of non-white status who are facing discrimination, who are facing all sorts of ills by the greater white society. When I mean great, I don't mean great as in greatness. I mean the larger white society. But yet they got you participating in this thing against, people like yourself, like me, maybe in the same boat as I am, maybe even worse off than I am. And you participate in it. You have to understand the human conditioning and how, as human beings, that there are people who know exactly how to condition us. Okay? And they're very successful at it. So if you think because your belief in some God or some Jesus, what have you, is going to protect you from being negatively conditioned, guess what? It doesn't. You're already negative conditioned. You just don't even know it. Okay? There are certain things that are immediately built into everyone of our psyche, and they can use to affect us in any which way they want. It's all conditioned through television, newspaper, radio, billboards, advertising. Okay, they have built in a conditioning system within all these medias, and they know what they've embedded inside your subconscious mind. You don't. But you'll find out soon, because I'm telling you, those who participate in this and know about this, okay, eventually it's going to show up at your door. So keep laughing, keep committing crimes, and you think you won't get away with it because you have the backing of these criminals with badges and those in the high ups, criminals high ups in law enforcement. But that's what they are, a criminal organization. Okay, and that's it. So see you guys in the next video.